Make sure you guys smash that subscribe button if you guys are fans of the content being posted onto this channel to always be in the loop with more content similar to this, and be sure to hit the video up with a like if you're enjoying the content. And with that being said, let's begin. With rumors swirling on Capcom's upcoming Resident Evil game, that being Resident Evil 8 Village, as of this recording right now, we are going to be further analyzing and discussing everything we know about Resident Evil 8, including new gameplay details, new enemies, Chris Redfield's redesign, and much more. So all of the following information comes from Aesthetic Gamer 1 over on Twitter, also known as Dust Golem, who has been a credible source within the Resident Evil 8 community and someone that has provided us with accurate information throughout the years. And when having to take a look as to what is to be expected from Resident Evil 8, fans went along ahead to ask Dusk exactly what Capcom has planned for its fans, as the following comments on Twitter goes as follows. At Aesthetic Gamer 1, exploration and puzzles are in Resident Evil 8, exploration 100%. Puzzles, I know some exist, but not to what extent. So, of course, this further confirms that we are going to be able to explore the environment and basically be immersed within the Resident Evil 8 setting. But in terms of puzzles, if you're someone that is a classic hardcore fan and you want Resident Evil 8 to solely be centered around discovering puzzles and having the game actually introduce a multitude of options for you to actually commence in doing these puzzles with, it only appears that Resident Evil 8 will in fact not have as many puzzles as one may expect. Aesthetic Gamer then went along to tweet, Resident Evil 8 I am excited to reveal, it's by far the darkest and most gruesome Resident Evil yet. As of course a fan went along to ask, can you elaborate on most gruesome, just more gore or more disturbing story-wise? As Aesthetic Gamer responds, a little of column A and a little of column B. As another fan also went along to ask, hey Dusk, is there at least one classic character returning in Resident Evil 8? Maybe a gameplay as extra content like was with Chris on Not a Hero? As Aesthetic Gamer went along to respond, well, I mean, Chris is in the game. Beyond that, zipping these lips for now. So there is a possible chance, hence the word possible chance, that we are going to be seeing other classic Resident Evil characters return, but as of right now, the only main character we know of returning is going to be Chris Redfield. As another fan that goes by the name of Nosferatu went along to also ask, will Resident Evil 8 have combat? With Aesthetic Gamer responding, yes, of course it will. So of course combat will be returning. Another individual then also went along to ask, I've thought about this a bit. Do you know if the cutscenes are first person or third or a mixture of both? I know some people wanted to see Ethan's face, for example, and would relate to him better that way. As Aesthetic Gamer went along to respond, what I heard is the gameplay is first person. The cutscenes mix first and third person, but I'll mention this tidbit, it is not verified yet, just something I've heard. As another individual also went along to ask, will Resident Evil 8 be released for the next gen consoles or the current gen? With Aesthetic Gamer responding, cross-gen. So of course, Resident Evil 8 more than likely will be released on the PS4, Xbox One, and the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X. As of course it continues, another individual went along to ask, will Resident Evil 8 be announced during the PS5 event in June? With Aesthetic Gamer responding, no idea, but I hope so. As of course, another person went along to ask, from what you've seen of Resident Evil 8, do you think it will divide the fan base more than Resident Evil 7? With Aesthetic Gamer responding, yes. So this game, of course, with the knowledge that we have of there being witches, cults, satanic cults, werewolves, zombies, and all other types of monsters and enemies and bosses within the game, this game also being centered somewhere in Europe to where there's a possible chance for there to be snowy environments and rural areas, it only now appears that Resident Evil 8 will no doubt be a game that's going to divide the Resident Evil fanbase only because of the brand new elements it's going to be introducing, so keep that in mind. As Cypher also went along to ask, do you know who the main villain of Resident Evil 8 is? A leak said that it is a returning character from Resident Evil 4. As Dusk went along to respond, there's more than one villain, and the status of this is changing a bit. There's one unconfirmed thing I heard I'll throw at you involving a guy named Alan. I'm partially sharing that bit to steer the kettle some, I admit though, so it only now appears that there is going to be more than just one main enemy, and apparently enough there is an unconfirmed rumor of a character named Alan who may in fact play a potential villainous role in this upcoming game. Who is Alan? We don't know. Is this a thing? We don't know. It is unconfirmed, but keep in mind there is more than one main enemy in Resident Evil 8. As Miguel went along to ask, when is the Resident Evil 8 trailer? With Dusk having to respond, no idea, but we're close to when the game was originally supposed to be revealed before COVID. So of course that further confirms that we are actually nearing a real trailer relatively soon, as Kyle also went along to ask, were the rumors about a redesigned Chris true, with Aesthetic Gamer responding, yes. Aesthetic Gamer also then went along to comment, get ready for some of the most disturbing enemy designs in the Resident Evil series. Now this is very important because so far from what we know, there is supposed to be a trailer sometime during the months of June and July for Resident Evil 8. Of course, if it were not for the virus going around the world today, we would have received earlier information on Resident Evil 8 and the plans going forward on its release date and many other things. So Resident Evil 8 right now is going to have Chris Redfield come back. He's going to have a redesign. We don't know if he's going to have a muscular design or if he's going to appear to be a lot slimmer or if he's going to have a completely different look altogether. We do know that Ethan is going to be the main character of the game, and according to Dusk, we are going to be getting perhaps maybe a third-person perspective in finally getting a chance to see not only what Ethan looks like, but also getting a sense of the danger that he's in within this game, because with Ethan having to travel all the way to Europe to try to figure things out along with Chris, there are rumors circulating around Ethan and Chris's relationship, and the fact that there's going to be something involving Chris Redfield's character that's going to be so different by comparison to what we've seen before. But as to what that may be, we don't know as of right now. But the enemy designs are also going to be interesting because these enemies are supposed to look, quote, more fearful and more gruesome looking than any other character we've seen in Resident Evil before. Now keep that in mind, we're talking about the Tyrants, the Lickers, the Hunters, the Regenerators, the Crimson Heads. You know, you have all types of enemies that we've seen in Resident Evil, in the main continuity of Resident Evil, within the spin-off series such as Outbreak and Umbrella Chronicles. So for there to be enemies included that are going to be more terrifying than any of the previous ones we've seen before, it actually piques my interest, because we do know that the game is also going to have hallucinogens involved, and there's going to be a witch chasing you, so there's going to be a lot of satanic kind of cult references in the game that's really going to mess with your mind and really make you question on whether or not what you're experiencing is actually real or not. So the question lingers now is, when exactly are we going to be getting an official release date for the game itself? Now that is really up in the air, because with the current status of the world right now, we really don't know when we're going to be exiting quarantine and when things are going to be going back to normal. Of course, the PlayStation 5 and Xbox Series X is scheduled for release sometime during the fall/winter of 2020, but needless to say, we are going to be getting some kind of announcement, some kind of trailer at some given point in 2020, and my best guess is that Resident Evil 8 more than likely is going to be set for a 2021 release, perhaps maybe January of 2021, or perhaps maybe March of 2021. Again, that's just my prediction, that's my guess on this, but in the end, I want to get your thoughts and opinions. The overall shift with the narrative and having to deal with cults and werewolves and witches and zombies, and more importantly, I also want to get your takes on there being lack of puzzles, but of course there being more of an environment exploration option, in a sense to where you can actually go around and you can actually explore your environment per se and encounter all different kinds of enemies and things to do. But the thing is, we're straying away from the classic Resident Evil puzzle solving aspect, to where it's no longer going to be centering itself around aligning paintings or trying to figure out a set of numbers, but more or less now the game looks to be taking a more solid approach, a more grounded approach, very similar to the Evil Within or Outlast and stuff like that. So again, if you're trying to mimic a product, I think that it would be detrimental, because you don't want this game to become the next Outlast, you don't want this game to become the next Evil Within. You want this game to be grounded and centered around it being Resident Evil. So with returning characters rumored, that could illustrate and actually, you know, kind of make one think as to who's going to return, if it's going to be Leon, if it's going to be Jake Wesker, if it's going to be Claire, if it's going to be Jill. So the possibilities are endless, but I want to get your thoughts on if you guys are excited, if you guys are stoked about this. And again, thank you all so much for your time. If of course you guys are new to the channel, then smash that subscribe button, give this video a big thumbs up by leaving a like down below, tune back in for more, and I'll be seeing each and every single one of you guys down in the comment section below. Have a great day, everybody. Peace.